Hi everyone, a very warm welcome to today's webinar in this chilly day in the Bay. I am Carla, I am the social media manager from Oracle Media, and joining me is Carmen, our graphic design manager at Oracle Media, and joining us is Carmen, our social media department manager. Hi Carmen, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much. Hi Carla. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. It's quite chilly, but
Good.
much better than yesterday, at least. Before we start, I'm just going to give it a few minutes for people to join us. Join us, join in, tell us where you're from, tell us what you're busy with. Thank you so much for being here with us. We're very excited to address a really cool topic with you guys, something that I think you would find very interesting. So the topic for today would be how to integrate graphic design with social media and why it's so important. So please, guys, share what you're doing, share where you're from, how's it going, and then we'll just give it a couple of minutes just to get everybody on board. Hi, Neil. Welcome. I'm glad you're excited to be here with us. We're excited to address this topic with you guys as well.
And it's such an important aspect of social media. You know, I think people just take for granted the importance of graphic design and how it actually ties in with social media. So yeah, I'm quite excited about today's topic.
No, definitely. Okay, Carmen, I think we can start with a couple of questions. So maybe you could just tell us a bit about why it's important to be online, especially during this time. I think everything is going into this digital world. We're realizing it more than ever right now, where, we are so prone to go into this digital space. So why is it important for us to be online? And if you have a business or thinking about taking a new business online, why is it important?
So, South Africa is actually quite unique in the world in that of our population, we've got 59 million people in South Africa. I'm rounding up by like a couple of 100,000. And of those 59 million, would you believe that 22 million people are active on social media? So what this actually means is that if you're not online, you are committing semi-suicide, and that's just social media. There are 36 million people using the internet, and then 22 million people using social media. So what that means is if someone's looking for your product or service, what are they going to do first? They're going to try and see if they can find you online. They're going to use Google or Bing or whatever it is that they're using. And if you're not there, they're not going to find you. And that's the dangerous part, is that if you're not found, you're not going to sell your product or your service. So it's actually quite important that you have a presence on social media as well as on the World Wide Web, because if not, you're going to be left behind. And so what we love doing at Oracle Media is using all these social media platforms. And we then get our clients, see what product or service they're selling, and then we come up with the best strategy, along with engaging and captivating graphic design. That would be you. And we make sure that our clients are seen and heard on social media. And remember, social media is not just limited to Facebook. It's everything that's online. Another interesting statistic for South Africa is that, would you believe me, is that 94% of access onto the internet is done with your mobile phone. So what does that mean? So that means everything that you do online needs to make sure that your content is user-friendly for your mobile phone, for example. And now during lockdown, I think that stat would have changed. And this is from January 2020. So I'm positive that's already changed, because Most people are at home, so even the 70-odd%, I think it was 76, yes, 76% of people were using their laptops or their desktops to access social media and the internet. I'm sure that's also changed. So it's very important that whatever you're doing online is able to be seen via a mobile device. So yeah, so if you, I mean, I can go on for days with stats with regards to why people should be online. But if that isn't enough, I mean, average time spent on social media is 3 hours 10 minutes, which means, again, tying into what we'll be discussing later, is you need to then grab your potential client or customer and engage with them and let them interact with your product, your brand,
Definitely.
your
Yeah.
service. So it's like I said, I can go on for
It's exciting,
days about.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's not only what you say online, it's also how you present it, and that's where we bring in the importance of graphic design and the elements thereof. But I'll let you do that for us. So take us through what in your world, what is the importance of what you present? What give us some ideas on for example, your brand. Your brand is who you are. Your brand represents what you do. Um, how would we then tie that in? Your brand personality, your brand voice, and everything that you are. How do you then tie that into social media and getting your message across?
Great, thanks, Carmen. And I think some of the points that you listed as well with the mobile users is such an important aspect when thinking about graphic design as well. And before I get into your brand and why it's important for your brand, I just want to touch on that, is actually making your design accessible for smaller resolution screens as well. And we'll touch on this a bit later, where, you have to think about what you're putting on your designs. You have to think about, how quick it grabs attention, but all of that we'll discuss a bit later. Being on the topic of your brand and your personality and stuff. So it's basically a two-way street. So if you have an existing brand, and we can look at a visual example just now, you have to think about, is my brand compatible for social media? So
Yeah.
with social media, simplicity, simplicity, simplicity. You have about 0.2%, 0.2 seconds to grab someone's attention on social
Wow.
media. And that's not a lot. That's really, because
It's
if you think
nothing.
about it, people spend so much time on social media, and sometimes, I don't know if you ever felt this way, that you mindlessly kind of just scrolling through your feed, just looking at what there is. So you basically have like less than a second to grab a person's attention. So that's
Yeah.
where you first, before you actually go into graphic design, is establish your brand first. Establish what your brand voice is. Establish what you want to say through your brand. Do you want to be playful? Do you want to be a more serious professional brand? So, for example, if we look at playful brands, Volkswagen really does it well. They're very youthful. They're very, witty with their marketing and stuff like that. Where BMW, for example, is more a premium look. It appeals to a different target market. So I think before starting with anything, and maybe you'll feel this way about setting up your social media pages as well, is understand what your voice is and your brand personality, and kind of how you want to speak and how you want to be perceived out there on social media. So later on, we'll touch on a bit of examples of this. Like I said, simplicity, simplicity. So also something that's very important is the face of your brand. So when I talk about face of a brand, that will be your logo. So that's like your starting point. When people see your logo, that's like, okay, I know what this company does, or I know this company. And sometimes what
Yes.
companies do is, if you're well established, you can actually simplify your logo for digital media as well. And I actually want
Yeah.
to pull up an image here. So image number one, we're going to compare logo rebranding. And this is something that BMW basically did, is they took their original logo, and there was a lot of controversy with this because obviously, BMW was a well-established brand. People get so used to logos, people get so used to a look and feel. And if you look at the older brand, it was a very luxurious feel, with the 3D type of curves, it appealed to that certain market. But then they went, and then because we're going into this digital space, what you also spoke about, is they thought about, okay, what is the simplest way to represent my brand? I have my elements, I have my BMW elements, I have the core a pictorial, which is the little blue and white section in the middle, and how can we simplify this to display better on screen? Because sometimes if you make a logo really small, and this goes back again to mobile resolution and usage, your logo detail might be lost if it's more detailed. So simplifying the logo is the best. And like I said, there was a lot of controversy on that, but I think people are getting used to this new logo at the moment. So I don't know if you guys in the comments want to tell me about what you think about the rebrand. Do you prefer the old logo or the new logo? I think we kind of touched on this in the previous webinar that Anil and I did as well, but it's always interesting to see how people perceive brand change as well. And it doesn't have to be a massive change, even if you just simplify a bit. But I think starting with the face of your brand is a very nice way to kind of ease yourself into that digital space in that sense.
Like even like how Woolies did it. It's the whole word Woolworths, but when you see them, their simplified logo is just the black W. And again, it people just need to get used to it, because now everybody knows that W by itself, even if it's the inverse of it, stands for Woolworths. So I think people they'll get used to this BMW logo, and I think it's for us it would be like, oh, it's obvious. But for any of you guys out there that have a brand, a current brand, it doesn't mean you must throw away what you have. Just tweak. Maybe you take an element out of your entire name or what it is that you stand for. We spoke about brand. Maybe it's your personality or your voice or your representation or elements of that, and you create a logo from that so that people can associate that logo with your name. And when you're creating a social media profile, for example, let's take Facebook, you then will create a business page, and then you'll put that logo as your profile picture, so that whenever you engage with your followers, that will always be the profile picture that comes up. And then that's how you also then get to establish your logo along with your name, and the name of whatever product or service that you are, and it's how you get your brand out there. And then also then to tie in with the logo, another one is font, which you touched on, but I'd like to bring that in now, because like what you said with regards to mobile users, so believe it or not, your font is also quite important, guys.
Definitely.
So Carla, tell me why. We were chatting about this yesterday, when Carla and I were just going through our content, and I actually forgot about that. Okay, you can tell us, but I think it's so interesting with regards to font. All yours.
Okay, so font is very important when you're actually in a digital space. But before we get into that, I actually want to take you, and we can pull up image 2, why font is important. And then I'll actually show you why font is so important. And like, again, how we spoke about your brand voice or your brand, what you want to say. And people sometimes think, okay, font is just something you apply, but it's also a design element. It's also something you need to keep in mind, and it also speaks for itself. So I don't know if you guys can see, there's a little like a example pulled up at the moment. Can everyone see that little example? Everyone in the comments? So basically,
I love this one.
what it is, at the top section, you'll see I wrote out, I will always find you, in like a really like soft, kind of lovey-dovey type of way. So this is kind of like if you want to be that la-di-da type of brand.
Okay.
And I wrote out the exact same wording in a different typeface, which is more of a horror type of typeface. And it changes the message immediately. So I will always find you, almost like Jason and Fred type of stuff. So font is so important when you're basically thinking about if you want to be a playful brand, if you want to be a more serious premium brand. And yeah, that's definitely a design element to think about when you're actually busy with stuff. And I think from a design perspective, and this is more on a technical side of design, it's like a pet peeve for designers is if you use Comic Sans, that is like, oh, I can't. So font is very, very important. And then we can also speak about what fonts work for digital and what fonts work for print media as well, because believe it or not, there is actually a difference, and I'll explain to you why there is a difference. And it's actually very interesting, and it's something that maybe if you are not a graphic designer, or if you perhaps want to come to Oracle Media and you want to have us do some design work for you, that's maybe something you can tell us. You have to keep in mind if you want to go onto a digital space, or are we going to do print work for you, or are we going to do digital work? So that's something you can think about when you actually consult with us and actually share that with us too. So just before we get into that, I see Terence is saying colors to stay away from in a logo design. Okay, so Terence, for that, I would say it goes back to your brand. So you need to just establish, your color scheme. Yet again, establishing how you would like to be perceived. And we'll get into colors now. And I think you're going to find it very interesting when I talk about color theory. Don't worry, I won't get too technical. It's actually very simple. I'm going to do a little test with you guys to show you about color theory, and then how you can choose the best color for the type of identity, or the type of voice that you want to give to your brand. So I'll get to that just now, but I will answer your question. Okay, cool. So if we go to digital fonts for print and then also for digital, or fonts for digital and print media, I'll explain to you why this works. So I hope you guys can see at the top there are two ads. So these are two Volvo ads that I just pulled, and on the left-hand side, I actually applied a serif font, and on the right-hand side, there's a sans serif font. So can everyone see that? Carmen, is it up there? Okay, cool. So I hope everyone can see it's big enough. So on the left-hand side, when you have your serif font, so we call it serif font because it almost has like a foot. So that's called a serif. So that's for digital use, and your sans serif fonts are for digital use. And the reason being, if you look at the bottom, your computer screen consists out of little pixels. So it's all these little squares that make up an image. So what happens when you use a serif font, which is the one on the left, it doesn't fill that pixel completely. So when you make your font really small, and again, if you view it on a smaller device like a mobile phone, for example, it almost becomes distorted. Your fonts become a bit illegible because it doesn't get to fill that entire pixel. And it's actually really interesting when you actually look at it, where as a sans serif font, you don't have that little serif. It actually fills the entire pixel. So if you guys can see, I did try to indicate it a bit with a red block to show how it fills that actual pixel, the red block being the pixel. So that's also something to keep in mind for legibility, because legibility is also very, very important. Because think about it, going back to the 0.25 seconds that you have, if a person cannot read your copy, they are not going to engage with that post. People are prone to convenience. We live in a world where convenience is key, and niemand wil sukkel nie. People don't want to suckle with, looking at stuff and like getting frustrated because I can't read it or something along the lines of that. So yeah, fonts are very important.
Can I just quickly jump in there?
Yes, please.
If you guys are wondering why we are being so pedantic with regards to font and the actual font itself, is that when you consult with us and you've got an idea of what it is that you want, if we recommend something that maybe didn't fit in with your idea, it's not because we're trying to be impossible. It's just that we need to make your everything about you and your brand and your logo and the font also is a way that you also communicate who and what you are. So if you wanted these elaborate, the ornate kind of thing, and Carla says, I don't think it's going to work. The reason being is all of this that we've just mentioned with regards to the pixelage. Is it actually going to fit? How will it look on digital? So just keep that in mind when maybe you are going to be developing your own logo or your brand or your own label, if I can say label. So that's why we touching on these very important things. And speaking of important, Carla, please take us through the colors.
Okay, so colors. So here's a little test for you guys. So please participate. So we can pull up image number 4, and you will see a yellow color and a red color. Okay, so I want you guys to tell me, what do you feel when you look at these colors? And there's no wrong or right, but these two colors together, how does it make you feel? And also, where do you think you've seen this before? So Carmen, if you want to take a guess as well, that would be cool too.
It looks like a bit of the German flag. That was the first thing I thought of. And then I thought maybe nachos, or maybe it's because I'm hungry and I haven't had nachos in a while. But for me, I don't know, it's a bit of a mix because the red normally is supposed to say danger, but I mean, and then the yellow is nice and warm. I don't know. I get a nice warm fuzzy feeling. Yeah, it's yeah, I like it. I think I like it. But it definitely it's a flag, or it's a I see what Cohen is saying, Ferrari, maybe. Yeah. Yeah. Lauren
Okay, we
also
got
says
some Spanish colors here. Terence
colors.
saying
Yes.
Spanish.
Thank
Oh, there we
you.
go. This is actually interesting. Lauren is
McDonald's.
saying McDonald's, which is very
Are you
interesting.
hungry?
Going closer and closer.
Really? Is it a food? Is it a
I'm
food
going to
color?
explain to you guys now what's happening here.
So
Okay, a
wait,
lot of
is it supposed
flags.
to make me? Okay, Jackie also says it's a flag. Nish also thinks it's McDonald's. Maybe Nish, I don't know. Carla's not giving the game away. Okay, what else?
Okay, cool. So do you think I should explain? Should I explain? Do you guys want to
Tell me,
know?
tell me, tell me. I want to
Okay.
know.
So red is supposed to make you hungry, believe it or not. So there's actually a color theory, and this was
Yeah.
tested. They did a bunch of yeah, Lauren saying red is for food. So yes, that is completely Belinda's saying ketchup and mustard.
Ketchup and
Yes.
mustard.
So
Yes.
go look at a lot of fast food restaurants.
That's interesting. What color is Burger King? Blue. Isn't blue and blue? Because McDonald's, yes, McDonald's is red and yellow.
You guys can still see me.
Yeah.
So what is happening here is red is supposed to, if you see the color red, you are supposed to have your blood kind of rush in your veins, and that's supposed to, burn energy, and you're supposed to feel hungry. So a lot of fast food places actually use this to make you hungry and make you buy their product. And I'm going to show you guys a couple of examples of like smaller, God, I don't know if you guys can see me because it's literally streaming in. Let me just move in a teeny tiny bit. So I'm out of the
There we
sun.
go.
There we go. How's that?
Yeah.
So if we can go to the next slide, image number 5, then I will show you how companies actually apply this color in a subtle way. Okay, just waiting for the image to come up. So
then, Carla, why would Burger King use blue and red?
okay,
Because I think they're blue and red.
Yeah, I think they are, if I remember correctly now. But they still have elements of red in there. So it doesn't necessarily always have to be yellow and red. It could be, but you'll see a lot of fast food places have the red aspects in their
Carla,
stuff
you
too,
gone?
or stuff to do with
There we go.
food. So basically, this is, before I get into the examples, this again is where you basically have to think about what my brand is. And this goes back to what Terence was asking me, how do I choose the right colors for my logo or for my brand? So again, this is now where you have to decide, okay, am I like a vendor for food? Am I a fast food joint, or, am I more health orientated? So if you go check, if you more health orientated, you'll maybe go leaning towards, greens and blues and stuff like that. So if we look at the example, this is an American, I think it's an American company, Tesco. So they basically did these ads. And if you go look at their ads, they bring in the elements of red and yellow to entice that feeling, to entice that hunger feeling, and all of that. And sometimes they bring it in a very subtle way. So you'll see the first image there on the top left-hand side, you have the yellow mustardy wall, and then where the food actually is, so where your focal point is, the guy is actually wearing like a red lanyard that's pulling
Oh, wow.
that's
Yes.
basically pulling your attention towards the subject matter, which is the food. On the second one, so top right-hand corner, there's a guy holding this really nice steak in a plate, and he's wearing a red shirt in the back. If you go to the left corner, at the bottom, there's also a guy and with a greenish shirt, and he's it's almost like a red paella
Red
plate.
one. Yes.
Basically
Wow.
holding it in. And then on the bottom right corner, obviously they brought in some blue. And my theory with this is, if you think about blue, you think health, you think fresh, and there's a kid in there as well. There's a child there. So obviously when you have children, you want to think, oh, I want to do a healthy meal. So I think they brought in some blue there to represent healthy cooking too. And the lady is actually wearing what seems to be like a light reddish shirt, and that shirt is right above the subject matter. So that's how you actually think about color. And think about, if you have a brand and say you've established, okay, my colors are going to be red and yellow or whatever, pull that through to your entire brand. And I'm not saying bring color in and go crazy on every single post. You don't have to do that. And I think, Carmen, you'll explain to us why we don't have to do that, and actually how Facebook penalizes you for that. But think about subtle ways how you can basically create a complete identity for your brand and pull that through and pull that trust. Because if you have a brand identity, that trust basically gets pulled through to your entire social media page. So Carmen, if you maybe want to chat to us why color and too much color is too much for designs and how Facebook penalizes us for that, that would be awesome.
So, you just touched on the brand and the logo. So whatever it is that you do with your brand and your logo, you pull that through to your content on social media. Why you do that is you want that consistency, because whatever it is that you are showing or trying to display to your followers on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever platform it is, you want that consistency to pull through. So if you're having your like with Tesco, for example, you can see it's a lot of there's a vibe to it, right? And you can see in the font with what is it, food love stories. So there's a food love stories, but your Tesco, the name itself
Their
is
food
standard
love.
and yes, and so too you bring that through in your content. It doesn't mean that your design on your Facebook page, as an example, needs to have all of this, because I may just contradict everything that the Tesco ad is doing, but less is actually more. And Carla, touched on it earlier. Keep it simple, guys. Especially when you've got what is it? 0.0 seconds. How many?
0.25 seconds,
0.5 seconds.
0.25, yeah.
So what that means is you now have to grab their attention with a visual or an image or a GIF or a short video. And then with clever copy, you also have to capture them there, because now the two elements need to speak to each other. So you've got the design, it's your brand, it's your logo, it's your design that's simple with not a lot of color, with not a lot of text. Why I'm saying this? So not only in your content on your social media platform, but if you are using your social media platform for your business and you are engaging in lead ads, what that means is if you're actually using the platforms to do your advertising. I don't know if you noticed when you're on Facebook, something will come up in your feed and it says sponsored. That's actually a type of lead advert that was done. So they've either boosted the post or they've done an actual lead ad so that they could target you specifically. When you set up these ads, Facebook actually penalizes you if you've got way too much going on your design itself. So remember, your design is normally, what is it, 1,200 by 800? So that's the size of, yes, that's the size of your design on Facebook. On Instagram, it's 800 by 800. So in that space, if you've got heavy text with curly words and gazillion colors and remember that 200 by 800 looks something like that. And if that's busy, Facebook's not going to put that ad through, because they even they don't like it. And I know it sounds strange, but Google has algorithms, so does Facebook. So you definitely need to do less is more. Also with your text, it's the normal Pareto principle, the 80-20. Guys, don't put a lot of text on your design. It clutters it, and visually it's not attractive, and Facebook's going to penalize your ad. So many times I've had back and forth from client to us. They want this and this and this and this and this, and then we try and put it through, and then Facebook rejects it because there's just too much information on it. The cleaner, the better. So I don't know, is the Volvo one up? Because I'm seeing it. Yes, it is. Okay, so if you have a look at this one, Carla, do you want to take us through this one?
Okay, so just tying in with what Carmen was speaking about, especially with less is more, we'll dive in a bit deeper into like good design and bad design just now. But this example is for Facebook. So that's the 1,200 by 628 that Carmen was speaking about, and also like a hard sell lead ad type of thing too. So basically all you want to do is just have a really, really nice photo of your product, and if you really need to put text on there, just keep it very, very simple. So just in terms of maybe just the title of your product and then the price of your product, or whatever you would like to say in there. And I think that's something that you need to keep in mind as well, is like, what is the goal of the post you are doing? So that, again, tying in back to the 0.25 seconds that you have, is that established before actually going into a brief with, okay, this is, I want to have this and this and this, establishing what is the goal and what is the mission of this post that you're doing. Do you want to sell a product? Do you want to advertise a service? Use your caption as your supporting element for your design as well. So even if you just have a really nice image and then your caption can then speak to what it is you want to say about the image, obviously both of them just need to relate to each other. So this Facebook design for Volvo that's currently up there is a nice example of focal points. The car is on the left-hand side, and also something to remember when you do think about ads, or you have a designer who does ads for you and they maybe recommend something, we start reading from the left-hand side. So make sure that your most important information is on the left-hand side. So in this case, it's the car, for example, it's the product. I'm showing the product, it's the important part. So I'm starting from the left, and the car's nose is pulling my attention to the right-hand side where it says the model and it's giving me the price. And that's all that you need. That ad is telling me exactly what I need to know about the post that I'm putting up.
Also, just something to consider. Look at the space of everything as well. The car occupies 80% of the picture. You see, you don't have to, and your Volvo S90, you don't have to have that as even 50% of it. I mean, what is that in relation to the car? So keep that in mind as well when you're doing your designs, for even if it's just for a normal Facebook or an Instagram post. I mean, this is an example of a lead ad. Same thing. Where if you have a lot of information, rather leave it for the caption, because then in the caption, then you can put if you're listing ingredients, or in the case of the Volvo S90, maybe you want to emphasize the safety aspects. Then you can list those in bullet points or ticks, whatever, on your left-hand side, or wherever the image will fall. For Facebook, it's normally underneath or on the left, depending on if you're on desktop or mobile. And then with Instagram, it's underneath. So just keep that in mind. Like Kat also touched on, you don't have to put everything in on your image. Carla, did you have an example of an Instagram?
Oh, yes, definitely. Okay, yes. So this is also an interesting thing to think about, is that dressing up for the occasion. So this is something that I like a example that I like to use, is that when I was younger, my mom used to order me these Barbie books, and they had these cut out little Barbie dolls, and each subscription had a theme. So she would either be going to the beach in this theme, so you could cut out the clothes and kind of stick it on. So that, when I think about that, I was like, okay, so you're basically dressing her up for the occasion. And that's how you kind of have to think about your brand as well, dressing her up for the occasion, or him, or whatever. So people sometimes think, okay, cool, I've done this really cool design, and now I can pull it through to my Facebook, pull it through to Instagram, LinkedIn, or all your social media platforms where you are active. And actually, you shouldn't do that. So each platform has a different ability to create reach and create followers, but people look for different stuff on each platform. So on Facebook, that's your hard sell. That's where people go, Facebook stores and shops, and people go there to find out things. So you can put your informative posts and your hard sell posts, and, like marketplace, people use those type of stuff. So that's definitely where you can keep your selling and informative posts. But if you think about Instagram, for example, Instagram is very lifestyle orientated. You'll rarely, I don't even think I've seen an Instagram post where there are text applied to the images or stuff like that. So that's where you can get as creative as you want. And you basically have to take the vision that you have and the words that you have and put it into a visual representation. And the examples that are currently on screen is, I'm kind of going with the Volvo theme, is where we have an image of the backlight of the Volvo, and the car is on this backlight. So it kind of looks like a road. So this could be like a location post, or a visit us post, or a Volvo keeping you safe, because Volvo is such a brand that's focused on safety and reliability. So that's where you can really get creative. So represent your ideas in a visual way, and think about, it's about lifestyle. It's about provoking emotion. And that's where we tie in the front, where we spoke about basically thinking, what does my brand have to say? What's my voice? What do I want my brand to be perceived as? And you need to create an emotion, because people link to emotions as well. People don't want to get bombarded with hard sell the whole time. People relate to a brand that makes them feel a certain way. And I think Instagram is such a nice platform where you can go and speak about, what can my brand do for you in an emotional way and a feelings type of way. So definitely, platforms, don't post the same stuff on platforms. Play around,
Yes,
do some
I was
research.
just about to say that.
Research. Yeah.
Just be careful not to. I'm sure you've heard, if you've watched any of our previous webinars regarding digital or anything online marketing. Don't just regurgitate your content, because what if I can just expand on your dress up for the occasion, Carla, is like your LinkedIn audience, your LinkedIn target audience is not the same as Facebook. So too is not the same as Instagram. And sometimes we no, I don't want to say we, me, I get very worked up, for lack of better words, when some of our clients want to be on Instagram, and the first question I ask is why. What is it that you want out of it? Because your brand is your brand and your product has nothing to do with Instagram. Rather stick to LinkedIn and Facebook as an example. So keep just keep your content relative to the platform. Dress for the occasion. I like that. And then just change your design and the message for every platform that you work on, because you don't the worst thing you can do to yourself is just to duplicate. It's not going to be good for your intention. Well, if your intention is to sell and to get your reach and your impressions up and all of that good stuff. So moving on swiftly to the other part that also gets my blood boiling is when people want to, remember I spoke about when you do a lead ad, just be careful of your content and your spacing and how much you put in it and on it and around it. And it's like, you should see some of the stuff that we get, and some is just like, oh, can you take us through a bad and a good example, please? And then how many colors we should be using, etc. and so on? Because we've got some people that just want to use like the entire color chart. It's like, no, don't do it.
I can try. Okay, great. So if we pull up image number 8 and 9, I can kind of show you guys a comparison between a good design and a bad design. So we can kind of speak about what to do and what not to do in terms of content and, putting everything in the kitchen sink on your designs. That's kind of how I usually refer to it.
I think we've seen one with a kitchen sink and a llama and
probably. Okay, so on the left, you guys will see the kitchen sink. That's just a bombarding of everything, and it just confuses you. Now, imagine you had to see something like this on your Facebook feed. I would be like, no, girl, I don't have time for this. I cannot. I can't even see what is taking hierarchy here. I can't even figure out what's going on here. And that is something you need to think about. So when I refer to hierarchy, is you have to think about, okay, again, what is the mission of the post? What do I want to say? What is the shortest way I can say it? And also, is there perhaps a visual way I can represent it without using text? Because like we've seen now, text is something that we want to try and avoid on artwork, and maybe just have it into the captions. So on the left-hand side, your bad design, and on the right hand side your more cleaner design that we basically showed a bit earlier on. So as you can see on the left, colors everywhere and nothing is aligned, and you just have this data at the bottom that you can't perhaps even see when you're on a mobile view. So stuff like that is that you really need to think about. And I know, some people want all of the information on a visual because they want it easy accessible, and they don't want to now have people push into the caption to find out stuff. But really think about it. Think about it, guys, that 0.25 seconds, and visuals do grab attention. And if I see that bottom left thing, I'm done. I'll just scroll past it. So Janine also asked here at the bottom, is it
Yeah.
possible to achieve a minimalistic design even when you have design constraints? So I think with this is you need to find a middle ground. I know it's not always easy. I know if you are set in, you want everything on there, but I think, when you do consult with us, we will try to obviously steer you in the right direction. Like Carmen also said earlier, it's not just us being like, oh, but you can't use that font. There's a reason why we believe you can't use that font. There's a reason why we believe that, not a lot of text on your artwork, because we work in the industry. We can see what works. And, Carmen, I think you'll agree with clients will then see, the performance difference. If you have, say, something on the left-hand side, it's going to perform poorly in terms or against the right-hand side. And obviously, you want your stuff to perform, especially if you boost it. You're going to spend money on that post, so you want the most reach for that post. You don't want Facebook to penalize. So I think definitely, if you are someone who wants everything on the artwork, just sit back, take a step, consult with your designer, ask questions. We are here to kind of steer you in the right direction. And again, figure out what your post needs to say. It doesn't have to say everything at once. Maybe break it up into a couple of posts. You get different posts. You can do GIFs. You can do carousel ads. You can do split up posts where you have some information maybe the one day, and in the next day you have some more information. It doesn't have to happen all at once. You can also think about, campaign-based posts where you get a bit of information and you kind of tease to, check out our page the next day for more information or something along the lines of that. So I hope that answers your question, Janine. It's not always it's not always an easy way to do it, but I think if you take that step back and you kind of establish what the goal is of this post, it will be easier to establish what information I need to put on there, or even what information I need to put onto the caption. And then also, just lastly, with hierarchy, think about your heading. Your heading should be the biggest thing, well, not overpowering your visual, but your heading should grab the attention. So I would say only text to have on a design would be your heading and a subheading. So if you really need to have text on a design, nothing else.
So can I summarize just quickly? I see that we're almost at the 4 o'clock mark. So guys, just to remember, if you've already got a brand, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just need to tweak a couple of things. Get a logo going. Logo is important because it's a mini representation of your brand. Remember, your fonts are important as well as the colors that you use. Don't use more than, is it three or two colors, Carla? I think it
I
was
would
3 colors.
say for your logo, stick to 2 colors. I wouldn't go
Two.
more than
Okay.
2 colors. Otherwise, it does get very busy, especially if you have like textual aspects to a logo and pictorial aspects to a logo. So that would be if you have like the wording, your name of your company, and a picture with that. Don't go overboard. Keep it two colors. Like for example, we looked at the BMW logo where they rebranded for digital space. They had 2 colors. So stick to that.
Dress for the occasion. So that means whatever platform that you exist in, make sure that what you represent and show your followers is appropriate for the platform. So what I mean is your Instagram kind of lifestyle picture is not going to feature in LinkedIn. LinkedIn's going to be more factual, more formal. It's going to have more links and blogs and all of that. Your images are going to be different there too. So don't forget to dress for the occasion. So we've covered brand, logo, font, color, your the space that you occupy in your graphic design. Make sure that it follows the rules so that you don't get penalized, especially if you're going to do a lead ad. And don't forget, you don't have to only do a single image. You can do a carousel ad or even post. You can do a GIF, you can do a short video. If you've got a lot of information that you need to do in a short space of time, then do one of those, the alternative ones, or build a campaign around what it is that you want to say if you've got a lot to say. Try and keep your information in your caption, keep your images nice and clean and neat and tidy. And then less is more, always. Like, just always
Exactly.
keep it simple. Yeah. And don't fight with your graphic designers. They actually know what they're talking about. And you're welcome to contact us for a consult, or if you need any advice. If you don't already exist in the social media realm, we can assist you with that. Like I said, we don't need to reinvent the wheel if you already have a brand and logo. If you don't, that's something we can also create for you, because we are brand architects. And yeah, I hope that you found this session informative. Thank you, Terence, for your Kwai Bananas comment. And yes, thank you for joining us. I've enjoyed the session. Carla, thank you very much. I
Thank
hope you
you.
enjoyed this.
No, it was lovely.
Belinda,
Thank you.
Belinda says, loved hanging out with you this afternoon. Now I have a picky preschooler. Do I buy him a red plate to inspire hunger?
Oh, wait, I love it. Well, Belinda, I'm glad you
Yes.
took from this. So, and I see she commented earlier that she's not going to use Comic Sans anymore. So, thank you,
I
Belinda. I
saw. Very proud of you, B. Well done.
Thank you guys so
Okay.
much. It's lovely speaking to everyone. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.